Staying with politics, how could you not at the moment, 10 to 8. The SNP are going to use its political sway to demand Labour starts HS2 in Scotland, not Birmingham, according to its deputy leader. I saw Birmingham Airport tweeting about this yesterday. You can imagine their concern. The Scottish Nationalists expected to secure the majority of seats north of the border. MP Stuart Hosey said that they would use that power to try and shake up plans for high-speed rail. So could that mean a delay in building in the region? Could it mean that it might not happen? Jim Steer is director of Green Gauge 21, a rail research group, and joins us on the show, as well as Gordon MacIntyre-Kemp, who's chief exec for business in Scotland. Gordon, if I can start with you, first of all. I mean, we've only just had the referendum where the Scots decided to stay with us. Who'd have thought they'd be making so much sway in politics? Or is that a reality, or is it just rhetoric, do you think?
No, I think it's definitely the reality. During the referendum campaign, the No campaign told the Scottish people that they would get more power. They told the Scottish people to vote no because they should lead the UK, not leave it. So as soon as Nicola Sturgeon looks as if she's about to take them up on their offer, they seem to be panicking and backing down. So I think really what we're talking about here is actually saying, well, look, there's a huge project here. It's called HS2. It's going to cost thousands and thousands of millions of pounds, thousands of million pounds out of Scotland's budget, and it's not going to have any economic impact in Scotland, except that it's actually going to cost, and this is an official report by PwC, it's actually going to cost the Aberdeen economy $220 million a year, and it's going to cost the Dundee economy $96 million a year. That's tens of thousands of jobs are going to be lost in Scotland if HS2 goes ahead as planned. So clearly, I think that's an issue for the elected representatives of Scotland, no matter what party they're from.
And Jim, from your perspective as a man who is a director of a rail research group, how do you perceive this announcement? Is this a stumbling block? Is it just a different way of doing things? Will it really make a difference to the overall project of HS2?
Well, I think, to be clear, what the SNP manifesto says is that this is about developing high-speed rail in Scotland alongside the development of high-speed rail from London to the Midlands. So it's saying, look, really, rather than think of just this as a south-to-north project, we should at the same time be thinking from the north southwards. That's not a new position, I think, for SNP, or indeed for Transport Scotland, who've been looking at high-speed rail within Scotland and extending southwards for the last couple of years.
But, I mean, I was saying recently, I had a personal experience with high-speed rail in another country, and it was quite interesting that what was clear to me is that you need to get your existing infrastructure up to scratch before this becomes effective. And I mean, you've got fewer rail network options in Scotland than we've got in England, haven't we?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, if you look at Aberdeen, which obviously is a global oil and energy hub, then you look at Dundee, biotechnology and gaming, again, a world centre there. Edinburgh, one of Europe's major finance hubs. The actual trains you can get from the central belt of Scotland up to Aberdeen are diabolical. I mean, I've been on trains from Birmingham and Coventry to London before, and let me tell you, the Aberdeen ones are worse.
Right.
The last 4 journeys I've taken, the trains have either broken down or people have had to stand the whole way, and that's a long journey. So yeah, we really need to invest in transport there. And I think that the issue here is that if Scotland, I mean, we pay a proportion of the cost of all of these type of projects because we put our tax we raise in Scotland into the Treasury. And therefore, if you build HS2 without any links to Scotland whatsoever, then we pay for it, but we don't get the benefit from it. And I think the idea that the SNP have got is, well, if there's going to be an economic benefit for Scotland, if there's going to be no harm to Scotland, and we're going to contribute to this, then what we have to do is as Jim said, build it from Scotland simultaneously and make sure that there are links there. Because if you just unblock the arteries to London, then you don't close the north-south divide. What you do is you increase the flow of economic lifeblood to London and away from the rest of the country.
Yeah, I must admit, a few people have also said that as well. Fascinating to talk to you, fellas. Thank you. Gordon MacIntyre-Kemp, who's Chief Exec of Business for Scotland. Before that, you heard Jim Steer, who's Director of Green Gauge 21, a rail research group, who are hopeful that HS2 will happen.